Hey everyone, this is Ferro, and with this video we'll see how to get the first place for all the proving grounds for the 11 weapons and the shield on Bastion. Let's start with the War Machete. To make the first place with this weapon, I recommend that you have at least the first 3 upgrades purchased while selecting the Serrated Edge, Combat Handle and the Alloy Tip. When you're happy with your choices and you're ready to go for it, go to the Skyway and select the level Windbag Ranch. The best strategy for this level is for you to go to the center of the area where the black and red little monsters spawn and kill as many as you can. These monsters will always run away from you, so you want to get rid of them first. Then destroy the wheel towers that spawn the other black and blue monsters. After that, just kill the rest of the enemies. Remember, you have to do this in 60 seconds or less for the first place.
Place gets awful slick sometimes. Kid carves through all of them in a flash.
For the second weapon, let's go with the Fang repeater. In this case, my choice of upgrades are at least the double clip, heavy bolt and grooved chamber. For the proving grounds of the Fang repeater, you want to select the level Trapper Shingle. In this level you have to destroy all the 64 targets without falling. You'll see that every path has a different color that corresponds to an upper level of difficulty. My strategy here was to destroy the targets ahead on the next path while remaining on the previous one to avoid the floor on that same path to start falling, and that gives me time and space to advance.
The trapper knows never to take a step till the time is right. Master trappers got what they needed for a better hunt. The trappers would have been impressed with how the kid handled the shingle.
Now for the third weapon, let's select the Breaker's Bow. For the upgrades, the power string and the reinforced bow limbs are very important. Then I selected for the third one the stab with arrowheads. The level that you want to select for this weapon, it's called Breaker Barracks.
Kid ain't had enough.
In this level you want to use a maximum of 5 shots, and that's what we're gonna do. This one is very simple. Start with the bottom target while destroying the one in front of it, and then go from the left side to the right and destroy 2 or 3 targets at once.
Takes practice, and a mighty strong bow helps too. He's feeling real proud of that show.
Now let's see the proving grounds for the shield. The shield doesn't have any upgrades, so it's just a matter of skill and patience. In this case the level is called Bullhead Court. This level it's quite a pain, so it is likely that you'll have to repeat it multiple times as you can only get hit 3 times to get the first place. You have to destroy the enemies with counters, so you have to make a good timing to do critical hit. Take your time and remember that it's always better to use the shield sooner than later. Also remember that with the last enemy, the big blue ball that keeps shrinking, the liquid trail that it leaves also does damage, so do not touch it.
Kid pulls it off like it was nothing. There's a hint of pride in his eye when he gets back, and more than a hint in mine.
Now for the scrap musket, the upgrades I chose were the smooth bore barrel and the impact shells. The third upgrade doesn't really matter for the first place in this case.
The marshals learn to pack those shells full of fire.
The level that corresponds to the scrap musket, it's called Zulwood Grove.
Ever felt a Zulwood gourd?
The strategy here was to get as close as possible to the targets and push as many as you can with one shot. Keep moving around and pack as many targets as you can. Also remember that you can only use 15 or less shots for the first place.
Most marshals didn't get far on their first few tries. Had to catch a bunch of those gourds in a single shot. Funny thing about muskets is they work best up close. The best of the best clear the course in just a few shots.
For our fifth weapon we'll go with the Cael hammer. In this case we want to have at least the upgrade Sledge Head, Extended Grip and Alloy Shaft. The level in question for this weapon is called the Scrapyard. Another level that most likely will take you a few tries to get the first place, at least it did for me. In this case you don't want to use only the hammer to destroy 100 objects in 27 seconds or less. You also want to use your roll button to destroy the smaller objects with the character's body. Do a good combination between roll and hammer and don't waste any time if you miss one or two objects. Keep moving to the big amount.
The strongest, fastest folks earn more than their fair share.
We are halfway through and now let's check the dual pistols. The most important upgrade for the respecting proving ground is the sealed cylinders. This one will make all the difference for the first place. Then I had other three selected: the high caliber chambers, cauldron powder and hunting barrels. The level in question is called Slinger range. On this level you have to shoot 10 dummies and make 700 points or more. There is not really a strategy here as far as you have the proper weapon upgrades and you are fast enough, you'll do it easily. The only thing that you need to take in consideration is that you cannot shoot before the dummy appears, so pay attention to the sound it makes when it spawns.
I gotta say, kid's the fastest shot I ever seen.
Now for the upgrades on the brushes Pike, I made my life easier and bought all the 5 upgrades on the left side for this proving ground. It shouldn't be necessary to have all the 5 to get the first place, but it kinda helps as you want to do as lot as damage with one hit. The level for the Pike is called Camp Dauncy. You want to activate all 6 switches in 60 seconds or less, so clear your way through and just destroy the necessary enemies to make a path. It doesn't really matter if you take a bit of damage, if that saves you some time.
To prep for the course, the brushers could modify their pikes however they wanted. There wasn't time to squash every pincushion, just the ones in the way. The good enough run at Camp Dauncy could get you promoted to captain on the spot.
For the army carbine I choose the upgrade Speed Tuning, Cavalry Barrel, Insulated Chamber and Combat Scope. The proving ground for the carbine is called Trigger Hill.
Nothing makes a gun so dangerous as a keen eye.
This level is very easy to achieve the first place, where you need to clear all the targets in 35 seconds or less. Just aim and shoot as fast as you can, and for the enemies next to the orange flowers, you don't really need to fully aim. As far as your aim gets to the flowers, they will explode and destroy the enemy. This will save you some seconds.
Sometimes you had to take care to steady your shot. The triggers had clearance to modify their guns however they chose. Some felt the course was too easy, so the triggers spiced things up a bit. Kid blows through that course like it was nothing.
Now let's check the Galleon Mortar. Probably you already noticed that on the last weapons I'm using more upgrades. The more proving grounds you do, the more upgrades you get, so there is no need for you to hold yourself to 3 upgrades only. For this weapon in specific I chose the first 2 upgrades on the left column and the other 3 upgrades on the right column. The level of the mortar is called Boundless Bay.
You had to be crazy to want to swim.
This challenge is probably the easiest one from all the weapons, where you need to get 80 kills with a maximum of 5 shots. Most likely you'll get it in less than 5 shots, so just keep aiming to where the enemies are most crowded.
You could almost see the fireworks over Boundless Bay. Good thing we got to that mortar before the beasts of the wild learned how to use it.
We are with 2 weapons left, and now we are going to check the fired bellows. The upgrades chosen were sustainable fuel, thermite reservoir, cooling intake and countered creep. The proving ground of this weapon is called Grady Incinerator.
Toughest thing about using that gas can is keeping a grip on it.
This challenge requires you to defeat all the 72 Packers in 30 seconds or less. Pretty easy to get the first place with this one, so you shouldn't struggle. Just keep aiming to the Packers and advance to the next area as fast as you can when you are done on the previous one.
Things would swoop in and spread trash all around, until we started using fire. We couldn't just torch them all at once. We had to use restraint. Wasn't any other way to teach those peckers some respect.
And we are now with the last weapon, Calamity Cannon. With this one we want to go with all the 5 upgrades, as the most important is the last one called Tracking Processor, where the rocket will seek the enemy. The other 4 I selected were Stabilized Emitter, Blast Generator, Speed Configuration and Incendiary Fuel Cell. The name of the level for this weapon is Mancer Observatory.
Take my word for it. Don't ever drop one of those.
In this challenge you have to defeat all the 75 enemies while having all the 7 conductors intact, so it is mandatory that you do not allow any enemy to reach any of the conductor. The fact that the rockets will seek out the enemies will make a huge difference, so keep shooting even if the enemies are still not visible on the screen. And that's it, I hope this video helped you. Remember that some upgrades are really important to get first place, some other upgrades are just a matter of opinion. If my method doesn't work, try one that suits you better. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, check my Twitch channel, the link is in the description, and as always, see ya!